All right, hello. Welcome to Unnecessary Roughness Barstool's College Football Podcast. And I can already tell by the comments I see on the side that Michigan fans are feeling themselves today. Who are the cheaters now? Yeah, you guys. Trust me, we're going to talk all about that. Before we talk all about that, we're going to talk about high noon. Casey's going to tell you all about them.
I'm going to tell you all about high noon. Yes, we will be spending a lot of time talking about Michigan. I just realized I have baby spit on my sweatshirt. Whatever, we're just going to keep it rolling. Baby drool is not hot in the streets, but the Prez Pack is hot in the streets. Katie and Jack, it is. We're going to be talking a lot about Michigan. I can only imagine that Dave is popping open a high noon right now out of his new Prez Pack, probably the new tangerine flavor, to get ready to go to battle with all this Michigan stuff. You've been watching, you've been listening to anything Barstool, you know that the El Prez Pack limited edition is out. The tangerine is by far most people's favorites right now, not just because it's in Dave's pack, because it actually is delicious. But of course, we have all the old school flavors. The game day pack is still out there right now, which is also limited. The tequila, all the things. Jack, I know we're going to talk about Michigan, and I know that we have a lot to say. But until you answer this question the way I want you to answer it, I'm going to keep asking it. Have you tried the tangerine?
I haven't. No.
Damn it!
Hold on. Jack, try the damn tangerine.
I don't even know where to find it in the office.
Katie has some.
They're no. You're allowed to open it. They're where you can take photos with it. You can use it for advertisements. They need that box fully nice, crisp, and clean.
We're a third world country in New York City over here, Barstool. We all know where the top tier everything is. You think we'll get the tangerine? We'll get the tangerine. We'll get the tangerine in 2024. I'm just happy to cash a paycheck.
Here's my promise to both of you. This weekend, the Barstool College Football Show is going back on the road. We'll be in Fort Worth, Texas for the Texas TCU game, where I will have plenty of tangerines. If I can sneak tangerines in my bag, I will bring you both back one that you guys can try on Monday.
No, I have to. It's excuses from me. I should have, at this point, gone out and got it.
Fair. Drizzly, liquor stores, convenience stores, highnoonspirits.com. Do it until they try it. I'm going to ask. I'm going to be annoying. Brandon, lots of things going on. I am going to hand this off to Jack to start, because last night, Jack tweeted, Michigan's going to go on the offensive. Obviously, a lot of other people across the country are saying the same thing, but Jack is our Scoop City guy. We know that. Lots of things have happened today. Lots of things have broken. I'm just going to let Jack explain it, because he saw this coming before any of us did, and I think he can explain it the best. So go ahead, Jack. Take it away.
Yeah, no, we're in a wild time of this story delivers every 12 hours, it seems, or at least 24. It felt as if this morning Jim Harbaugh was going to get suspended. Then yesterday, and I got to give credit to the athletic director at Michigan, or maybe he's the president. The athletic director is Ward Manuel, who's at UConn. Ono's the president. From all reports, the Michigan administration and everybody in that school is all on the same page that they are going to fight this like hell. And that's what we've seen. That, yeah, the Big Ten feels pressure from the public and other coaches to suspend Jim Harbaugh, even for the remainder of the season. However, Michigan says, no, if you do that, we will take this to court. And then, so there's a possibility that Jim Harbaugh will be suspended, and then Michigan will take it to court, and then Harbaugh will be allowed to coach, but he'll still be suspended. That's further down the line. What got released today was a report that Michigan obviously leaked to the members of the media that they trust, which, by the way, I'm over here. Come on, guys. I shouldn't be getting a secondhand Scoop City. I should be getting the scoop. I could be propaganda all you want. But they essentially said a staffer, an ex-staffer from the Big Ten schools, essentially told them, hey, all of the Big Ten has had, or most of the Big Ten has had your signals, and they've just been sharing it amongst themselves. Now, here's the thing. That's technically not illegal. It's the same thing with Connor Stallings. If he happened to be the smartest man in the room and realized the signals right away and didn't have this master plan to send all these interns out and film it, there'd be nothing wrong. However, how did everybody in the Big Ten get that? That's Michigan's point. it is kind of a pointing fingers. It's like if somebody gets caught cheating, I also found out that you cheated too. So we're both bad. So that's where we're at with that. And then just now, it's so interesting. The journalists that are on this, that are like the top, these guys that we actually are fans of, not the bad ones. Like, Ross Dellinger, who's great. He's definitely on the Ohio State's, probably has more sources there. Pete Thamel is a little bit in between. And then the AP was the one that released it for Michigan. Ross Dellinger, right before we went live, said the NCAA let Michigan know that Ryan Day is not connected to the private investigation firm that they believe has been looking into and found. It's the weirdest thing about all of this is, how did they find this hard drive? Who found the hard drive and gave it to the NCAA? That's what I think Michigan's a little bit perturbed by.
All right.
There's so many details here, Brandon. I don't know where you're going to go with this.
I think you can guess.
I can, but I want to hear you do it.
So I've been making notes the whole time that you've been talking. Number one is I wrote, court, come on. Michigan is saying, if you suspend our coach, we're going to take you to court. Like, okay, let's say that does happen. There, just in my limited knowledge of the story, seems to be an overwhelming amount of evidence that Michigan was doing some things. They were doing some sign stealing. They were doing all of this. For as far as I know, the Big Ten has every right to suspend a coach if they suspect him of cheating or anything like this. So court, whatever. But the most interesting part, forget about court. The most interesting part about today is Michigan going on the offensive and what they threw out there. They are like a fighter who is in the corner right now, cuts here, this eye's closed, and they're just swinging wildly and trying to hit back against the Big Ten, against Ohio State and everybody else. So let me see if I got this right. On one side, I have Connor Stallions, who resigned. I have Connor Stallions, who we know was flying all over the country or buying tickets all over the country and sending a network of interns to get information, which we believe was sent back to him, which we believe led to him standing on the sidelines, directly talking to the defensive coordinator, the offensive coordinator, Jim Harbaugh. We believe all of that happened. On this side, we have somebody who looks an awful lot like Connor Stallions standing on the sideline at Michigan, the Central Michigan, looking very suspicious in their game against Michigan State. We have the fact that since Connor Stallions got hired, Michigan turned around everything and started beating Ohio State, started winning the Big Ten, and is 35-3 since they hired him. That's all out here, right? That we all agree that what I've said is fact? Okay. On the other side,
allegedly fact.
Michigan's offensive move today was to say, hey, y'all, there's this totally real anonymous coach that totally worked in the Big Ten and totally talked to us and totally said, hey, they had our signs too. This guy is super real. He definitely told us he's out there. By the way, we don't really have evidence that anybody.
No. I believe they have the document.
Yeah, no, it's not that Michigan made it up. Like the actual documents exist, and like the spreadsheets exist. There's screenshots of it.
Totally real.
Yes.
We're
also Michigan, as if the reports are that Michigan believes, or this is just the start of it, and there are real. At least from what we've seen, I believe the Big Ten wanted to suspend Jim Harbaugh this morning.
They're going to.
But they wanted to do this. They had that plan this weekend. And then they met with the president, and they saw that Michigan's not going to lay down, and they're going to make this hell. And from what it appears, Michigan has a lot. If they're saying, okay, we're in trouble. Okay, cool. We're going to bring all of you down with us. And if you want to play this game, we can play this game too. So if coaches were using the signs for Michigan in this spreadsheet, should every coach on that spreadsheet be like, let's say they believe they have evidence of specific teams using it. Should those coaches be suspended?
Also, it's not that like Michigan dropped the story on their own. Like the AP was the one that.
Yeah.
Like the AP has the evidence. Like the AP has seen said spreadsheet, said text messages. So whether it started from Michigan or not, it's being reported as fact by unbiased outlets.
Where did the spreadsheet come from?
Well, where did the spreadsheet come? Where did
I'm asking. What's the report? Where did the spreadsheet come from?
From a source that used to at a former Big Ten staffer. That's all we know.
What's on the spreadsheet? What all is on the spreadsheet?
What is on the spreadsheet is there.
I know what you've said so far.
Yeah.
I know what they're alleging, but what all? I mean, if it's a spreadsheet, I assume it's a document that has a lot of stuff on there. I assume they would not only just hand that to the AP and let them report it, but they would turn that over to the Big Ten and NCAA. Correct?
Yes.
Okay.
So here's the question, and Michigan fans are saying, what's worse, sending a guy to film from the stands versus like an entire conference colluding together to get the spreadsheet and get the signals. At the end of the day, like Jack said, whether they are going to try to still suspend him or not, Michigan made it very clear, like, hey, okay, you're going to say we cheated. And it's very obvious that Connor Stallion took it to the next level. However, we can also prove that this is going on at other places. What it seems like to me is the entire conference was cheating in some form or fashion. Now, obviously, Michigan has done it to a higher level. And it's like we've said, it's funny. Like Connor Stallions has obviously been like the joke of this and like the legend of it. And whether you like Michigan or not, he's the one we're pointing at. But the more that comes out, it seems like this wasn't just a Michigan thing. This was a Big Ten thing, and bigger picture, it's a college football thing. Well, so now it's all pointing fingers like The Office. Like, all right, I've got a loaded gun too.
The excuse they gave at the beginning was, everybody does this. This is not that big of a deal. What was the big deal about Michigan was the depth of it, the breadth of it, the links that Connor Stallions went to. Like if he stood on the sidelines at Central Michigan game, that's a bridge so far that I can't even. I mean, that's just crazy. If their response to that is everybody's doing it, we have proof that everybody's doing it. All right, but you're not in trouble for doing it as much as you're not in trouble for speeding on the highway. You're in trouble for driving 200 miles an hour on the highway.
I believe Michigan, and this is from the reports of people that have been correct so far, Michigan, this is just the first of it. Yeah. And the Big Ten knows everything, and they have evidence, and Michigan wants to continue. They won't if Big Ten goes, all right, we're not going to suspend Harbaugh. We'll talk about it after the season. And I believe that's probably what will happen.
Yeah, I think that's probably what's going to happen too. I think the biggest deal right now in college football, I don't even think it's what happens to Harbaugh. I don't think it's what happens after the season. But I think this Saturday in Happy Valley, how Michigan looks, how they perform, how they handle their business against Penn State is so damn interesting to me. Because obviously they're not going to be able to do things they've done in recent past, probably, and they're going to have to rely on just straight up man-on-man football. And I wonder if they're going to come out and win by 50 and prove that it doesn't really matter. They're just better than everybody else. Or I wonder if they're going to come out and either get beat or struggle in a close victory. It's just so fascinating to me what Michigan looks like in the wake of these allegations, because they played Purdue, yes, but that ain't nothing. They're going on the road to a hostile environment, probably the most hostile environment in the Big Ten, to be honest. I'm just interested to see what they look like. What, Katie, you had something to say?
What makes you think, like, yes, they won't have him on the sideline doing quick analysis, but don't they have signs from earlier in the year? Like, it's already stocked up. Like, they might not be able to read them as quickly, but they definitely have like the charts in some, like, week 1 through 7.
Oh, I would assume
80%.
Here's the thing: if you know they're stealing your signs, and you show up on Monday and the game Saturday, and you have to change all your signs, it's going to be tough. But this thing's been going on for a month now. I assume Penn State's been preparing for it.
I
think they certainly.
Penn State, if you show up with your signs from last year, I mean, that's on you.
Yeah,
I agree.
And unfortunately, it's a good point, Katie, but I think I would assume these schools are like, hey, well, we got to change them, and that's another aspect of this whole thing. It's like, why aren't they changing them? I know it's all college kids, but these are like you got to know the signs.
I wonder. Yes. I don't know if I'm giving signs at this point in a Big Ten game. I think I'm just either scripting the whole game, or I'm figuring out a way to tell my quarterback, all right, this next drive, here's play 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and hopefully he's smart enough to process it and keep it in his brain. That'd be tough. But I'm not even fucking with science.
This goes back to what Matt Rule said, and we've all been talking about it. Like they just need to put microphones in the quarterbacks' helmets like they do in the NFL. Like that would save a lot of this.
No. Can I just say something?
What?
It wouldn't. It wouldn't save a damn thing. You know why? I'm gonna tell you why. It's not gonna save a damn thing because some home team is going to tap the lines and be listening. You think I'm kidding? I've seen that.
I don't think you're kidding.
That has happened before. I've seen that happen in games where coaches come out of that game saying they were listening to us talk. We could hear them and they were listening to us talking. I've seen that happen. That would absolutely be a thing where about 6 weeks in, somebody loses a game and they're like, something crazy was going on here. And the home team had like tapped into what they were saying.
Yeah, no, there's definitely ways you can still do it. I mean, but going back to what, Matt Rule said, which, whether we take his word or not, but it's that, he's saying there's a reason that it keeps getting voted down. And that's because guys still want to be able to steal signs, steal signals. I don't know if that's 100% true or not, but like at the end of the day, this is making the Big Ten East race so much more entertaining and so much. I mean, every step of the way, it's been just ridiculous. This entire thing, this Michigan-Ohio State game, whether Michigan loses to Penn State or not, like that game is still going to be so highly watched and highly viewed, and the drama around it is going to be spectacular. And I don't know, what has to happen for there to potentially be a rematch in the college football playoff if Ohio State loses. I know if Michigan loses, they're out. But just the dramatics around this is fucking wild.
Well, I certainly don't know if Michigan loses, they're out. I wouldn't go that far.
I would think that if Ohio State loses, they have a much better chance of making it in than Michigan does, just from a strength of schedule situation.
I think it just depends on how that game goes. Like if Ohio State wins the game 17-16 on a last-second field goal, Michigan would have momentum to stay up very, very high. And it also depends on how they look against Penn State. Now, if they look bad against Penn State and Ohio State, then yeah, I think you start to have that conversation.
I don't know what game it was last week, but they showed, Penn State, Ohio State, and Michigan, and it said like the best win Michigan has had is Rutgers. And I know you've been saying that, obviously this isn't breaking news. That's the only thing with this, but I just the drama around this, the entertainment around this is crazy.
It might be, and it's not over. I think it might be the greatest college football scandal ever.
No,
I'm not saying greatest in scope. I'm not saying the worst. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, from an entertainment perspective, I think this might be the top dog. I can't think of one. Maybe Bobby Petrino getting some sugar on the side and then falling off a motorcycle. But that was like, it was over.
But the Bobby Petrino one was, all right, he was sleeping with an Arkansas employee. He got fired. Yeah. It's like, and then like maybe people knew about it and covered it up.
The only reason I brought that one up is just the photo of him at the press conference.
It's the funniest thing ever. That being said, this continues. I mean, it delivers even compare it to Bobby.
We're going on week 3 now of this thing.
Yeah, and Bobby Petrino, he had that photo, but I mean, Connor Stallions, this guy who hasn't talked, he releases this hilarious statement. It's just it's never ending, and it feels as if Michigan wants, like, they're like, all right, we'll keep going, and who knows? And then Michigan definitely, this hasn't been firmly reported, but my guess is Michigan feels as if Ohio State reported them. They have to play them.
Yeah, I don't give a fuck if they get their feelings hurt that Ohio State reported them. First of all, I don't think Ohio State reported them. Secondly, like if you cheat, it doesn't matter who turns you in. I will say this though, Jack, and this is something you've been hammering a little bit recently. It feels like this Michigan thing is the culmination of a few years of momentum where teams have been less and less. They've had less and less patience with the NCAA and the punishment arm of the NCAA. They have, if this happened. Actually, Ohio State's a good example. But if this happened 15 years ago and it goes out, Harbaugh immediately fires coach. Michigan probably suspends Harbaugh. Everybody goes into their shell, and they turn over everything they've got, and they say, NCAA here, we're taking care of the problem ourselves. Please go easy on us. Now, in 2023, we're winning football games. Fuck you, NCAA. There ain't nothing you can do to us. There ain't, and that's the truth. And Michigan is going to fight it like that. And frankly, that's the way to fight it. That is the way to fight it. You can't roll over. You can't lay down. The NCAA is a toothless organization. And if you come out and say, oh, yeah, fucking prove it. or do something. I fucking dare you to do something. That's how you fight these things.
Sorry, go ahead, Jack.
I don't even think this is a question for everybody. I believe the NCAA has no jurisdiction over if Michigan can play in the college football playoff.
The Big Ten could. I think that the Big Ten could either punish Harbaugh themselves, or possibly even, and I don't think it would get this far, or say you're not playing. You're
100%.
Game. Yeah,
but the Big Ten's even removed from the NCAA theoretically. I know that it's all connected within a chain, but I will say this is such a great example of like people fighting back. I'm really impressed by Ono and all of Michigan saying, no, you're not just going to run over us without a fight. And that's what they're doing. Does that mean they didn't cheat? No. I mean, it's pretty clear they did. And they went to very long lengths. Mm-hmm. All that being said, we're looking at a situation over the next few weeks that is, we don't know how it's going to turn. And Ono, Michigan, Harbaugh. I mean, Rick Flair was there today, Brandon knows this, Katie and Casey don't, but he was kind of a dirty fighter in some points. And then
dirtiest player in the game, buddy.
Dirtiest player in the game. And he met with Harbaugh today. I'm sure that was scheduled before, but still, it's a hilarious story, but very real. We have to discuss it from the point
I'm probably way late to that joke, right? I'm sure it's been made a lot. The dirtiest player in the game and Ric Flair.
Oh, there may not be enough wrestling minds within the college football world. I know there are some like
no, the first reply is from 6 hours and says the dirtiest player in the game and Ric Flair.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah. Let me know when these things happen.
I think that regardless of the teams, now obviously it being Michigan and Ohio State as the main players, or Michigan as the main player, like makes it, because Michigan's a gigantic program and so is Ohio State. But if this happened anywhere across college football with any type, especially two rivals right now, right? This movie would be so fantastic, regardless of what the names are. That's this makes this so entertaining. Like you said, like the most entertaining scandal. We're not talking about like real crimes against humanity. We're not talking about like really bad people. We're not talking about that, where they make documentaries that make you sad. If this was a movie with fake names, we'd all be sitting here just like, oh my God, all this information keeps coming out. And I don't know what exactly is going to happen, but the NCAA can't do shit. They've never really truly been able to do shit, but people have accepted that. So now we're seeing that find back. The Big Ten has to decide, are we going to put our foot down and say that something has to happen this year? And if it doesn't happen this year, regardless of what happens, if they try to do it next year, Jim Harbaugh, I believe, is not going to be at Michigan next year.
Did you see?
Two things, Jack, real quick. Two things. Number one, the name Connor Stallions is just perfect and hilarious. It's just like if his name were like Cooper Anderson, this isn't nearly as funny. Connor Stallions being his name makes it so fucking funny. And number two, to be honest, and this is the honest to God truth, in my opinion, what the Big Ten and the NCAA need is not to come down hard on Michigan. They don't need to be the ones to do it. The thing that they need the most in this world is Penn State to beat Michigan this week,
right?
Or Ohio State. Really, Ohio State beating Michigan in the end would be huge and gigantic. But I almost think that game's going to be so toxic. It's. I don't even know if they want to get that far. The best resolution for the Big Ten and the NCAA is for Penn State to beat Michigan this week and get them the hell out of that top spot of national title contention. Is that going to happen? Probably not. But I'm just saying, in a perfect world for the NCAA and the Big Ten, that's what would happen.
But then what if, so in that scenario, because I agree, like if Penn State beats Michigan this weekend, obviously like things change, but then you have the same round robin situation that we've been talking about all year before all this shit broke.
No, you are right.
Well, here's the thing. If Penn State beats Michigan, I think Ohio State shows up in Ann Arbor just absolutely snarling and picks their dead carcass. That's what I think. Now,
but you still have the scenario where it could be Ohio State beats Penn State.
That's still out there,
Michigan, Michigan beats Ohio State, and then we get in all the tiebreakers. But, I know, Jack, I think you said this last week, but the fact that just like a few weeks ago when we were sitting here, probably on a Monday Night Live, and Brandon was like, it doesn't feel like we have a whole lot of off the field headlines going on. It's been a really slow off the field year. like just
I know,
absolutely
this is the
explosion with
biggest-
like one of the most entertaining scandals we've seen in a long time.
And it's also been reported, this is another element, and this is more so conferences getting away from the NCAA. It was reported, I think, within the meetings with the Big Ten, Fox is involved. And so why would Fox want Michigan to Fox wants one thing. They want Michigan and Ohio State to be the biggest game ever. I know they probably already sold everything and whatnot, but they have a chance that game to be one of the most watched regular season games in the history of college football.
Yeah.
It's going to be awesome.
The element of Michigan saying, oh, you're going to suspend our coach. Oh, you're going to take away our eligibility to win the Big Ten. Oh, okay. We have Fox online too. Let's see how they feel about that. Then you get into some elements that are very, very sticky. And you don't really know where to turn at that point. And that's kind of, that's the privilege of being really, really good.
Yeah.
Because if this was Purdue, which it may be from the sound of it, and Brian Waters may have been involved in a few things, possibly, no one would care, and he would just get fired probably.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. But you're right. TV contracts are going to come into this, which again just shows that the NCAA is worthless. Before we move on, Brandon, you know what's not worthless?
HelloFresh.
Eating good food. Eating good food is
only
not
doing
worthless.
sunglasses. I was doing sunglasses so I could see the delicious food at HelloFresh.
So the last time we did a HelloFresh ad, when I was at home, I said, I'm actually cooking HelloFresh right now. And I was told that the chat was like, no, you're not. Stop lying. Folks, right now, simmering on my stove, I decided it's cold outside. I decided to do a creamy dill chicken soup. I'm not feeling my best right now. It's cold season. It's simmering right now. Before I got on this live, before I put my son down to bed, I had all the fresh ingredients, pulled it out of my fridge. Everything is pre-portioned, pre-packaged for exactly how much you need. I just had to sit there step-by-step instructions. Quite literally, if you're watching this, it is pictures and words that you cannot mess up. You cannot do it. It smells so good in here. I'm going to eat it, the whole pot, when I'm done. And then we'll have leftovers if my boyfriend wants some. HelloFresh makes dinner so much easier than going to the grocery store. Cheaper than going out to dinner, cheaper than ordering in. Brandon, I know you have a ton of kids you have to feed, and HelloFresh comes in clutch.
So many kids. And now that they're settled in school here, Casey, we don't feed 4 kids. There are kids in this house that I haven't met yet. I come home every day and there's a new kid. And some are friends of Tommy, some are friends of the other boy. Some are the 9th grade girl has got friends out the wazoo. I come in, there's people laying on my couch. I'm like, well, hey, how you doing? Anyway, we need food. We need food fast. HelloFresh is perfect for it.
And they have tons of different options, whether you want to eat super healthy, whether you want to eat something very hearty. You get to pick your menu every single week, which is low-key one of my favorite things to do, is pick out exactly what I'm going to get to cook. And it's going to be easy. It's almost cheating. That's how easy it is.
Brandon
Go to
just got a dead
HelloFresh.com.
leg from sitting down. I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty
Wait,
sure.
what just happened? He got a leg cramp?
I think he had not a dead leg, but he essentially got his blood flow, I would assume, cut off.
We'll get to how bad Brandon's day is, but first you are going to go to hellofresh.com/walkerfree and use the code walkerfree for free breakfast for life.
For life.
For life.
For what? For life.
One breakfast item per box while your subscription is active. So you do have to keep that subscription active. I will say that the HelloFresh breakfast is also very, very quick and easy too. Like you don't have to, it's not a long process to make. So go to hellofresh.com/walkerfree and use code walkerfree for free breakfast for life as long as your subscription is active.
Can I talk to y'all for a second?
Yeah, better than anyone I know.
We it's no secret the Chicago office has a basketball court and, all the stuff that keeps us active. I don't think I knew how inactive I was. Today I ran a few times. I did this. I did the golf simulator. I can't move. My legs don't function right now. I'm 44. I'm fat. I'm old. I'm a little ugly, and well, not according to the makeup artist in where was she? Wisconsin. Yeah,
Wisconsin. Which, by the way, Brandon, people were thinking that Teresa, the girl that does my makeup in Chicago, was the one that complimented you, and they were DMing me like, "That's the girl that Brandon."
Well, no. Tell the people about Teresa though.
Oh, Teresa also
Loves
this week
him.
asked if I knew Jack Mack, and
Yep.
she was like, "Do you know this guy?" And I was like, "Yeah, he actually does a podcast with me." And she was like, "I don't watch sports, but he has made it to the girl TikTok. Like he's got all the tea." And she was like, "I did not realize that he's your coworker." And I was like, "Not only is my coworker, he's one of my longest friends at Barstool Sports." So
Yeah,
Teresa, she's
out
paying
T.
more attention to Jack Mack than Brandon.
Yeah, shout out Teresa, T-Town.
These
Jack at all. He does even UNC or field hockey coach. Is the
Yeah,
youngest-
I love Aaron Matson.
these makeup gals love the YKB boys.
YKB, stand up.
I mean, come on.
It's true. Hey, you know what, Brandon? Maybe the girl in Texas this weekend she'll give you another damn girl. I don't know. We'll
Also,
see.
I just hope to live to see it.
How about the college football playoff? The head of the college football playoff this year is the athletic director of Michigan. So he's not at the college football playoff rankings this week because he has to deal with what's going on at his school.
Yeah.
That's why I never really understood how ADs were the head of the committee.
Yeah,
It's such a – I know there's rules and they have ways to avoid them getting too involved and pushing for their team, but
I mean, there's also no way that even if those rules are in place, like you're always going to have a bias, regardless of how far you take that bias. Like there's no way that you can sit in a room and if you are an AD of any school and not in the back of your head, no, if I push for this team to make it to the playoff, if you're in that scenario, it's going to be good for me. Like that's the most obvious thing ever. I agree with you. I don't know how they do that.
That's not really that important. What's this thing? It's just sitting here. It says scuff, and then it says shape. And if you take it apart, it has these like sharp little things right there. What is this thing?
It looked like one of those things that we used to have at
scuff, and then it has like
drug paraphernalia.
Yeah, I'm about to say it looks like something that you would use at like shotgun a beer and then maybe
it's a pool cue. It's something with pool.
Oh,
that makes sense.
That makes sense. Wow.
Okay.
Wow.
I know. I
Our
saw this.
brains
found out.
And not that big of a deal that Casey's mind immediately went to drugs. It's not that big of a deal.
No, I said it.
Me
that.
too. Me
Okay.
too. But yes,
All
but
right.
no, we had a product for a while floating around the old office that was
Yes.
like for shotgunning beers that looked like that.
Yeah, I forgot what it
looks
was
like a
called. Yeah, it
hammer.
was what was it called?
It also kind of looks like a grinder, to be honest.
I thought that was a grinder for a second.
There we go. Casey, you have an exercise for us?
I do. So speaking of the college football playoff, which when we do our Saturday night lives, we always get ourselves like in the conversation of like, if this team makes it, if this team doesn't make it, and we get bogged down with it, we decided on Monday we would talk a little bit more about it. Obviously, we have a ton of games that have to play out to really decide what's going to happen. When the new rankings come out tomorrow, everybody will argue about it. We all know. What I decided to do was kind of do like Brandon, when you do your either or, I'm going to give you two teams and I'm going to say what their scenario is. And you have to pick one of those teams. Like forget everything else. Forget 1 through 3. This is for the last spot. Who would you take right now?
How many scenarios are there?
6.
Wow. Okay. Dive in.
All right. You ready? So number 1 scenario, again, last spot available. Would you take an undefeated Washington or an undefeated Florida State?
Okay. Now hold on. So I'm not worrying about anything else?
No, just like those two teams right now in, whatever the date is, November 6th.
My only thing is, I don't think it's possible to have to choose between those two teams.
Well, but that's the point of the exercise because it's deciding because yes, like
Okay,
obviously.
all right. I got it.
Undefeated Washington, undefeated Florida State.
Jack, you got an answer yet?
This one's really hard.
That's what she said.
I think you have to roll with Florida State, though.
I think you do as well. And I want to say Washington kind of.
Me too.
Washington they'll have victories over Arizona, who's pretty good, USC, who's okay. They'll have 2 victories over Oregon if they're undefeated. They'll have
Washington State kind of fell off for them.
Washington State fell off. Oregon State's kind of threatening to fall off a little bit. Florida State will have Clemson, obviously, who fell off. LSU, I don't know, man. I don't know. I think it might be Washington.
because they would have 2 wins over Oregon, who's a top 10 team right now. And Bo Nix is, like, I think, squarely in the race for the Heisman.
Yeah. I don't think that the Heisman. Yeah, Jordan Travis is also in it.
That's true.
Okay. So Florida State has the win over Clemson, which, again, doesn't really. They would, I assume, in the ACC title game, they hopefully, for their sake, would get 11-1 Louisville, who would probably be back half of the top 10 at that point, like 10 or 11 or 12.
What?
Okay. Let me say it like this. Who do I think is a better team between Florida State and Washington? I believe Florida State's a better team. I believe Washington would have a better resume and probably get that spot.
Yeah,
Washington's defense is bad.
but
I think Florida State's better than Washington. I think Florida State's better than Washington. I think Washington might get that
you
spot.
were talking, Brandon,
Yeah.
it hit me in this scenario, which is unlikely. And I know, Casey, that I'm not shitting on the exercise because it's an exercise.
They both get in.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
But theoretically, and even if for the sake of maybe they're competing for the 3 versus 4, Washington probably will have a better resume. Now, Florida State has killed everybody, though, outside of Boston College. And then didn't Virginia Tech come back against them, I think?
They had the overtime win over Clemson.
That's true.
They
What
beat.
about
They
Washington's
had to come back. Duke was up, but they ended up beating Duke by what? 17. Go
And
ahead.
if they kill Miami this weekend, that'll help.
They'll kill Miami, I think. What's her name?
Katie.
Yes.
What's the Washington's defense? Like, I looked at the USC game. Like, obviously it's a one-off, but I think it's a bigger exposing. Like, Washington's defense, that was tough. Like, yes, Caleb
They're
Williams is good, but like Florida State's defense, I think, has been pretty good all year. Like the Washington defense, I was like, this is not a national championship defense, or nowhere close.
Again, for the sake of the exercise, obviously, we know both teams would technically would probably get in, but I would take Washington just because they would have the 2 wins over Oregon. Okay, next scenario. A 1-loss Big 12 champion Texas or a 1-loss Pac-12 champion Oregon.
It's Texas. Without a doubt.
Yeah. Texas.
About the Alabama win?
That's probably going to end up being the best win in the country this year.
Yep. On the road.
Road win at Alabama, who could go 11-1, and possibly just go 12-1 and make the playoffs. So,
I think there's all right. Wait, Casey, do you have?
God, I'm thinking about it. I'm just thinking about it. So Oregon,
Do you have Texas and Alabama going up against each other in this exercise?
Yes.
Okay, we'll get there.
I might have the same opinion. Like, I might think Oregon's a better team, but Texas would get the spot. But okay, let's work through Oregon. Let's work through Oregon, everybody. So Oregon right now, what's their big win? Utah, I don't think that's that big of a win. I think they're going to end up like 9-3, 8-4. They will eventually have to beat Washington, right? And then I don't think that's going to be as good as the win over Alabama. So I would go Texas. I think it's Texas.
The only reason that was a much easier or much harder one for me. It'd be much easier if Oklahoma was still they were undefeated, because then Texas would have to avenge that loss. Oklahoma beating Oklahoma in the Big 12 championship, if it's even Oklahoma, doesn't seem as good. But you do have the Alabama win. Okay, so the next scenario, we have a 1-loss Ohio State, but they played their resume, that we know their resume, or a 1-loss Florida State.
A 1-loss Ohio State without question.
Really?
Without question.
Even though Florida State would have made it to the ACC championship.
And Ohio State's loss will be better than Florida State's loss.
Well, I got a question. This is just me thinking out loud.
Mm-hmm.
If, let's say, Louisville goes 11-1 and beats Florida State in the conference championship game, wouldn't they replace Florida State in the? I mean, you say no, but tell me a reason why they wouldn't replace Florida State in the playoff rankings.
Because I think you would. Can I?
Yeah.
Why they wouldn't?
I don't think they would get.
I think Oregon would jump them at 12-1.
What was the thing? It was Ohio State or 1-loss Florida State.
Yeah, I guess.
Then you brought up Louisville. Brought up Louisville, though.
Yeah, I did. The
reason that, and this goes back to
Jack, what I was saying was, I wasn't saying Louisville would then get in. What I was saying was, if you were then considering an ACC team, wouldn't you consider Louisville before you consider Florida State? If they were,
I see what you're saying.
If they were 12-1, you're no longer considering Florida State. You're now considering Louisville.
Yeah, no, you're 100%. I guess in Casey's defense, and we know Florida is the most bipolar team in the country. Let's say Florida beats them.
Yeah,
that would be then. I'm not saying it's going to happen. One loss and they win the ACC. But
there's
also
also
better for their resume than losing to Louisville. Yeah,
and it depends to me. And I mean, yes, like on it's like okay, it'd be easy Ohio State. I also think conference championships should matter. If Ohio State doesn't make the Big Ten championship, but Florida State does, and say they do lose to Louisville by like 3 points, that matters to me. That's the same thing with the TCU Kansas State argument last year. It's like if you make the conference championship and you were undefeated in the regular season, you should be rewarded for that.
I can't disagree any more vehemently than I'm about to disagree. We keep doing this every single year.
We don't have to do it. We don't have to do it.
Conference championship games don't mean a goddamn thing. Ohio State would have been kept out of their conference championship game because they had a road game at Michigan, who would probably be number 1 or number 2 at that point. Whereas, Florida State didn't have to do that. So I just don't give a fuck about the conference.
I know you don't, but they do matter a little bit. I think there's somewhere in the middle between me and you. Okay, next scenario. Brandon, I think this one's going to be hard for you, okay?
Mm-hmm.
One loss Michigan, who does not make it to the Big Ten championship.
Okay.
It's one loss. Or if somehow 2-loss Oklahoma wins the Big 12.
2-loss Oklahoma has no path to the playoff.
So Michigan would get in regardless.
Yes, no path.
Even with the resume.
No
one
path.
Loss. I don't think one loss Michigan has a path to the playoff.
I think they have a better one than Oklahoma, don't you?
They have a better one. Their one loss would have to be against Penn State, I think, though.
Let me ask a question, just based on the Big 12 standings now. I don't know that Oklahoma has a good path to the Big 12 championship.
Oklahoma's dead as fuck.
They are. But again, these are just hypotheticals. I'm not saying they're going to do it.
No, I'm just reminding the people that Oklahoma, you had a 6-week run. Congratulations.
Mm-hmm.
I thought you were the school that plays for Big 12 championships and college football playoffs, like Gabe Eichert told us.
No, they beat Texas. You acted like you were the Super Bowl champs.
Hey, they beat Texas, and that was good enough. Congratulations.
So, in full disclosure, that one was more just for Brandon because I would hate to have his brain break to decide who he would rather see play in the college football playoff, Michigan or Oklahoma.
I got one.
Well, okay.
You got more. Keep going.
Okay. So Jack already brought this one up, but a 1-loss Big 12 champion Texas versus a 1-loss SEC champion Alabama who lost to Texas.
I think this is the most likely crazy scenario for the college football playoff. Let's just say Big Ten champions undefeated.
Let's say it's Michigan. That's Michigan, okay?
Michigan.
Yeah.
Florida State undefeated. They're in.
Yeah.
Oregon goes 12-1.
Uh-huh.
Or Washington goes 13-0. Then you have these two teams. What do you do with them? I think Alabama the SEC is out of the playoff for the first time ever.
Wow.
I don't think so.
Really?
You know why? I think that scenario you just laid out would be doomsday for Oregon. Because Alabama, if they were to run this table, consider what they would have done. They lost to Texas, sure. They would have beaten LSU. They would have beaten Ole Miss, who's a very good team. And then they would have beaten and snapped the 30-game winning streak of Georgia. Like they would then have the best win in the entire country. Alabama wins out. They are in the playoff. I don't care who they got to kick out to put them in.
I believe I saw Bud Elliott tweeting about it. He was of the belief that Alabama would be out.
If it's 12-1 conference champ Oregon, 12-1 conference champ Texas, 12-1 conference champ Alabama, I'm not saying this is what I would do. I think 12-1 Oregon would be absolutely fucked.
But could you imagine the absolute chaos of Alabama?
But then you also, in that scenario, you also have to then look at Georgia, like we said, and it's like what Georgia's
out. Like it's unfortunate.
Georgia's schedule is not near as easy as it looked at the beginning of the season.
There's
But
too many teams. There's too many cooks in the kitchen for them to get in as a one loss. I think a lot of teams would have to lose.
And that very well could happen. I mean,
well,
yeah,
so
100%.
that was my next is, would you do a one-loss Georgia over any other conference champion?
is the one loss to Alabama in the conference championship game?
Yes.
I mean, it just depends because listen, we like to act like these scenarios. We like to act like, oh my God, there's not going to be room in the end. There's not going to be room. TCU lost their conference championship game last year. Ohio State lost their last game to Michigan. They both got in.
Right.
They both walked in. It looks now as if we're going to have more spoons in the soup than we got soup. But this November is a crazy month in college football. And it doesn't take that much. Like Washington losing to Oregon State on the road could fuck the Pac-12 entirely. The Big 12's hanging on by a thread anyway. Like Texas, it's not going to be easy for them with this backup quarterback over the next couple of weeks. And then Florida State can't slip up at all. So I just think I think it has shifted. I think before this whole Michigan stuff broke, and I thought the Big Ten had the best chance to get two teams. Now I think the SEC, if Alabama beat Georgia in the conference championship game, would definitely be the conference that had the best chance to get two teams.
And I do think that obviously the Texas loss is still, people are going to talk about that. And if Texas is in that scenario, wins the Big 12 with the one loss to Oklahoma, they're going to be in. However, there's going to be very easy a situation where you're like, okay, well, that was the second game of the year. That was in September. How much does that carry weight? But if there is a scenario where it has to be decided between a one-loss Texas or a one-loss Alabama, because they're both gigantic names, they're both gigantic brands, they're both everything. Oh,
what do you guys think of this?
How'd you do that? We can do that?
I didn't know we could do that.
I just did that. But
all right. Okay, hold on. Let me read it. Bud Elliott, who, by the way, Bud Elliott knows his shit. One of the better.
Yeah, I think Bud's one of the best out there.
One of the better college football minds out there. A lot of people that you guys suck off for having great college football minds, other than me, Bud Elliott's better than that guy.
He's in the YKB boys.
He is absolutely in the YKB boys. Went out 100% in. Georgia, Michigan, Ohio State, Florida State, Washington. Yes. Preach. All correct. Went out in good chance. Alabama, Oregon, Texas. Yes. Went out and need help. Penn State, Louisville, Ole Miss. Is that the extent of the went out and need help list? I guess it is.
I think it.
Yeah, because LSU's not on that anymore because LSU was in that conversation until last weekend.
Too, yeah, I guess that's.
And Ole Miss will be out after this weekend because they're going to lose to Georgia.
Uh,
Oh God, I hope so. I don't know that my heart can take them not losing to Georgia. We'll deal with that. We'll deal with it.
No, Brandon. Let's say they beat. Let's say they.
What are you doing?
Beat Georgia.
No, don't do it, Jack.
It could be the greatest day of your life.
Why?
The next, like in a few weeks. I mean, like on that Friday.
Jack, just stop.
I mean, I think it would be the greatest win.
The truth is, Jack,
in college football history.
I believe this weekend I'm going to have to make the difficult and tough decision to go ahead and move on from Zach Arnett. I think that this weekend, I think I might holler at my boy Willie Fritz. I might go holler at my boy John Summerall over there at Troy. I don't know who I'm going to holler at, and I don't even know. I don't want it to come to that. I don't want it to come to that. But things aren't well. Things aren't well.
Hey, your coach, he passed away, and
he died, dude. He fucking died.
May he rest in peace. I miss him every day, and you can't blame. And here's the thing: your boys are still fighting. Like this is a team that still fights, and you got to tip your cap.
Dude, we scored 3 points against fucking Kentucky.
Yep.
Oh my God! Read an ad.
God. Yeah, I'm about to say. You know what you need, Brandon. Whenever you're watching Mississippi State play,
stiff drink.
And some Shady Rays. You need some Shady Rays. So you know what? You can cry a little bit, but no one can see that you're crying because you're wearing sunglasses. Shady Rays, we love. They're great. Go get the polarized ones. But the best part about Shady Rays, we've been saying, is that they look really expensive. They look like the real deal designer stuff, but they don't cost like the real deal designer stuff. And if you get them and you hate the way that they look, it's not like, oh, I'm going to return this and kind of do some shady shit. No, they're like, no, if you don't like the way they look on your face, send them back. We'll send you some new frames, send you a different design. And it is the season of giving, however you celebrate. I'm telling you right now, Shady Rays is a great gift, stocking stuffer, whatever you may want. Right now, you can get one for somebody else and for yourself. So if you go to shadyrays.com and use the code Roughness, you get 50% off 2+ pairs of polarized sunglasses. We all have Shady Rays. They are amazing. They're so good that Brandon had his stolen when we were at Nebraska. That's how good looking Shady Rays are. Go to shadyrays.com, use code Roughness, 50% off 2+ pairs of polarized sunglasses. And hopefully Brandon has multiple pairs of Shady Rays on deck, because when he cries watching Mississippi State, no one can see his tears. That's how good they are. Can't see behind those bad boys.
First of all, I know who and what I am. When I cry about Mississippi State, everybody sees it. Everybody sees it. Okay. I mean, I don't cry in peace. It's rough.
And
listen.
Let that son of yours know.
Yeah.
That he's going to be crying too. Okay.
No. We in this house we cry over football games.
Yep. And that's it.
By the way, your mom texted
that,
me about
and
this.
when a dog dies.
Time out, Jack. What'd she say?
Hold on.
Over there.
Your mom texted me about this whole situation.
What'd she say?
So this is yesterday at 5:30 p.m. So, by the way, she calls you BFW, which makes me laugh. So I call BFW to speak to my grandson, who, by the way, is your dog of the week. He gives the phone to Tommy, and I say, "Roll Tide, buddy." And Brandon immediately takes the phone back and says, "We are dealing with this. I'll call you later." And then he hung up on me.
Accurate.
And I said, "Oh my God, he is so mad." She goes, "I would say pissed is an understatement." And that was the end. I haven't texted with her since we saw her on the road when she came to our show. And she wanted to let me know that's how mad that you are. And I appreciated that, because it means that it's not just a Brandon Walker WWE shtick for the internet. You're literally hanging up on your own mother.
Let me tell you something, Kate. Don't paint her as this innocent, sweet mother.
Your mother is an angel.
Is this innocent? Oh my God, I can't believe you hung up on your mother. My mom's the worst. Okay, my mom texted me today. You know what she said? Did she say, "You're doing a great job at Barstool, honey"? Did she say, "Oh my goodness, you're the best son I've ever had"? No, she said, "Are you starting to get bald a little bit on top?" What the fuck? What the fuck kind of mom is this?
I love that. I'm sorry. Like that. I mean,
yes, I'm 44 years old, and I'm starting to finally get a little bald on top. Okay, it's not that big of a deal.
Well, Brandon, boy, do I have some news for you, because our next ad is going to help you with that a little bit. We'll get to that point. But no, I mean, never forget, like, your mom just calls it how it is.
I would say, Brandon,
like mother, like son.
For your age, you got a great head of hair.
For sure.
I do.
At any age, you would have a great head of hair.
And also,
yeah, you're right.
You didn't even show how good of a head of hair you had until you moved to New York. Like, you were buzzing that baby like when you were at Mississippi. Like, you should have been growing your hair out, because most men your age kind of have hair like that.
I didn't know.
Well,
I didn't know.
Your mom is an angel, though, so don't you dare slander her.
Your mom's the worst. Tell them about that final. Yeah, who we got? Yeah, tell them about them.
What? Oh,
Nutrafol is offering our listeners $10 for your first month subscription. Casey, a lot of people are watching and they wonder, what's Nutrafol? Tell them.
So probably not a whole lot of people watching or listening are in this scenario, but I am, and maybe they have wives or girlfriends or ladies in their life that are dealing with it. But my specific one, I have the postpartum version of this. So it is a supplement that helps with hair, which obviously is very important. As you know, Brandon, I think that you probably should be getting on your subscription right now, because your mom's calling you out. But they are a new sponsor. And Katie, I know when we got them, we were both so excited, because they have supplements for everybody out there, not just postpartum, not just men, not just women. It's for everybody. And you don't have to choose between hair growth and your health, because it is a whole body health approach. Because like when you look at it, it's not just like, oh, this is going to help your hair grow. It's every single vitamin A, C, D, E, B1, B2, B3, all the vitamins, plus it helps with your hair. So you can go to their website and you can take their hair wellness quiz, and it'll tell you exactly what you need. So if you have thinning hair, or, you have other issues going on, like postpartum, for example, like all these little baby hairs that I'm dealing with because I just had a baby, this is just going to help. And I just take these bad boys every single day, and it helps with hormones, environment, the whole thing. Again, not just for men, not just for women, not just for postpartum, not just for hair thinning. It's for everybody. So go take the quiz.
Nutrafol offering our listeners $10 for your first month subscription and free shipping when you go to Nutrafol.com/men. I don't know why that woman was talking about all that woman stuff, because we're talking men on this show. This is a man show. And enter the promo code UR, but it's probably also for women too. But men.
That's
Men.
spelled NUTRAFOL. Nutrafol.com.
And also, we love stats. This is a real stat. 84% of men showed improvement in their hair after 6 months of taking the hair growth supplements. That's pretty fast. And I feel like if you just got to take some supplements that are good for your whole body just for 6 months and your hair's going to be better, why wouldn't you? Ladies, if you're listening, postpartum, I'm starting these bad boys. We're getting that hair back, ladies. We're doing it.
All right. Do you have any more scenarios for us, or was that it?
I think that was it, but you said you had one.
Yeah, I forgot it.
No, I think that was 6, I believe.
Okay. I guess it's 57 right now after the hour. So what we can do is take about 5 minutes and let the chat weigh in. So if you have a chat or if you have something to say on the chat, say it. I'll read it. Jack will put it on the screen and we'll react to it and make it good, because most of you are saying some dumbass shit over there. I mean,
Has it been bad?
It's just been a bunch of idiots. Although
yeah,
this guy's name is Pay TJ or We Riot, I agree with that one. Yeah. So see, hemorrhoid rage.
What?
Put out the Ole Miss SCEN. Don't know what that means. ESPN FBI favors Penn State this weekend. I think Brandon Walker. I think I might be picking Penn State too. We'll see. Wednesday. Wednesday's a long way from now. Why is Washington so low in your top 10, Brandon? Says Preston Mark. There's just not a sport that creates whiny bitches like this sport. It's just really not. I have been very, very clear. When Washington beat Oregon, that gave Washington the right to be ahead of Oregon. I've got Washington number 6 in the country right now. I've got Oregon number 5, because ever since Washington beat Oregon, Oregon has elevated their game, and Washington has de-elevated their game. Like, they haven't been as good. They won against USC, fine. Their defense was awful. They struggled against Arizona State. They struggled against Stanford. Once they beat Oregon, they kind of went into Oklahoma mode. We're like, okay, we've earned everything. Now we're going to play like this. You can't do that. And when Oregon lost, they took it to another level. So that's why I've got Washington lower than Oregon right now, even though Washington did beat them. Who's done the best coaching job this year in the SEC? It says Pay TJ or We Riot. All right, let's go through. It's almost easier to say who's done the worst coaching.
I mean, I think this is a very easy answer for you. For me too, but it's drink.
Yeah, I thought Elia, but I also think
Kiffin's done a hell of a job.
Oh,
Kiffin, and I think Saban has.
Yeah, Saban's a good one
too.
Saban would never win Coach of the Year, but like he could be in that mix. But I got to go drink. Yeah. What else we got?
This was a very big storyline on Twitter because Caleb Williams was crying in the with his mother after the game, after the loss to Washington. And it's so funny because I remember 2 weeks ago I said, oh, it looks like Caleb Williams doesn't really care. And now people are like, he cares too much. So.
All right. I gotta take that question you just asked and flip it into a question for the three of you and everybody in the chat. And everybody has to be honest. Say yes or no in the chat. Have you ever cried tears over a college football game?
yes.
Casey, Jack,
Yes.
Casey,
Yes.
yes. Katie, yes. Jack?
Yeah.
I am also a yes.
Of course.
I'm also
That's
I
why all these people on Twitter that were like trying to make fun of Caleb Williams, and I know if I say anything about Caleb Williams, they're like, oh, no. If you're making fun of him, now I understand it's, jumping into the stands and your mom covering your face, whatever, like it looks very emotional. Every single person making fun of him has cried over college football, and it's less meaningful to them than it is to Caleb Williams. Like Caleb Williams is busting his ass. Now, Alex Grinch got fired. We didn't mention that off the top. Finally, Alex Grinch got fired too little too late. But Caleb Williams is potentially the number 1 draft pick who could be losing stock because his defense is so fucking bad. Of course, like, why wouldn't he be showing emotion?
Also,
I have no problem with any player ever crying. I have no problem with it whatsoever. Yes, Jack.
Did you guys see the TikTok I sent you today of the Sam Hartman? It has 700,000 likes. It's just a thirst trap of him. This is what I'm talking about. It's just that it's nonstop. And then he just like every TikTok that's made about him, he just throws another pick six. I got to stop. He's probably a good guy. I got to stop. I have a vendetta. I'm just jealous. I'm like, I feel like a woman right now.
Jack, I will give you.
Oh, that's rough.
I'll give you the credit.
Don't drive.
That TikTok was ridiculous.
But in Katie's defense, he's not making them. It's his fans.
The answer.
Yeah, that's the only thing I had was like, I mean, again, I don't blame him, but he's not doing it himself. Like all of his social posts are just straight
is
out.
possible.
Nick Robb says, how toxic would a USC OU Alamo Bowl be? Very. Well, from one, I think it would be all one-sided. I would be very toxic from Oklahoma. Like, what would USC have to be mad about in that scenario? First of all, USC would be very disappointed that they're in the Alamo Bowl. Caleb Williams wouldn't play. So I think there would be a lot of hate from Norman, Oklahoma, but not from Southern California.
Yeah, it would be Oklahoma would be in quite a situation. I saw one pop through about talking about Caleb Williams and crying or shedding a tear is different than jumping into your mom's arms. I don't know if I'm just a sap now because I have a son, but like the idea that a grown son wanted to run to his mom, I'm like, I hope my son is like that. I hope I'm the first person that my son wants to see when he's upset.
Yeah. Also, we don't know if he was actually crying. Like, I mean, he is kind of.
Yes,
he's kind of like the Drake of quarterbacks. He's just kind of like
he's emotional.
Yeah, and then he said after the game, "I just want to go home and cuddle with my dog."
And he said he wanted to go home, cuddle with his dog, and watch shows. And I thought that was the most relatable answer I've ever seen.
Yeah, I mean,
it's not like, oh, it's like you hear guys getting called out when they lose and they go out to the college bars, which again is a pretty normal thing for
Matt
do.
Rife,
Probably
I
shouldn't.
literally watch this. I'm gonna live block you right
now. It's Reeves. Yeah, and he's a cunt. Yeah, no. Yeah,
oh my God, Brandon.
It was rough. It was rough. I don't know what to tell you. It was rough.
Yeah, and someone asked if Caleb Williams' dad was around. Yeah, he was literally in the video. And
what's
Caleb Williams' dad is the one who's pushing for him to get ownership.
What's the best dog y'all have seen lately?
I saw a TikTok today.
No. I mean, in person, in the world, in the wild.
Oh, every time I see it makes me feel kind of sad for them because it's New York City. But every time I see like a grown ass fluffy golden retriever in Manhattan, it makes me happy because they're just happily prancing down the street, and then it makes me feel sad they have nowhere to run.
I was leaving the office today, and this dude was walking this dog, and people walk dogs. I was like, I don't really think about it, but I looked over, and it was just the most beautiful long-eared basset hound, and I was like, I rolled my window down and said, "Sir, that dog is beautiful. Basset hounds are the best dogs." That's what I love, basset hounds.
Yeah, there's always a bunch of dogs in my apartment building that I see every day.
All right, I think we can get out of here now, right? We got to get ready for Monday Night Football, correct? We hit every mark we needed to hit.
Yep.
Have a big preview show on Wednesday because apparently Brandon's going to take Penn State.
I'm going to take Penn State. Yeah, I'm going to take Georgia. I'm going to take Penn State. Who knows who else I'm going to take? But that's where we're starting from. Okay. But in fairness, I was on that train a long time ago.
You said Penn State was going to win the national title.
I said Penn State would lose to Ohio State, and then Michigan would lose at Penn State, and then Ohio State would lose at Michigan. I think that's a very likely scenario. Anyway,
Brandon, you do know that you and I have a game too.
Huh?
You and I have a game.
Good talking to you guys, and we'll see you Wednesday.
See ya.